head, Godfrey Lebeya, says South Africa will launch its own prosecution against those involved in fraud at Steinhoff. It comes after a German court announced that former CEO Markus Juster will be tried early next year. Steinhoff allegedly inflated the value of its profits and assets by more than 100 billion rand. That's between 2009 and 2017. It tricked investors who lost billions. Lebeya says both countries will have their respective opportunities to plan prosecutions.
Generally, there is cooperation with the German authorities, and when they send their request, it will come through the Department of Justice, and should the request require the police, we will be cooperating and assisting. So at this stage, it has not been brought to our attention that a formal request has been submitted. But otherwise, on a police to police, we are cooperating.
At the same time, Lebeya says investigations into the robbery at President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm are still ongoing.
As you know, we are not reporting blow by blow on this investigation, but we can indicate that we have got now 68 statements that have been filed. Sometimes people ask me, and I think we were around 50 or so. So at this stage, we have got 68 statements. We are continuing with the investigation. We have got professional investigators, senior officers, actually led by a lieutenant general, looking at this. And the prosecutors are also looking at this, so that whatever we are recording is in line with the law.
Well, for more on the story tonight, we're joined in studio by Newzroom Africa's Erin Bates. Erin, good evening to you, and of course, welcome to Newzroom Africa. Let's get straight into tomorrow. It's D-Day for that panel that, of course, has been tasked with looking into whether the president has a case to answer to.
That's quite right, Kathy, and I think it's not only MPs who are going to be hanging on tenterhooks to have sight of that report, but also the general public, because of course it's up to former Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo and his team, his panel mates, to determine if there's sufficient grounds in terms of Section 89 of the Constitution and its parameters on impeachment to actually move forward with a potential vote against the president. Now, we had Professor Vilakazi Fikile earlier on today with Newzroom Africa, and here's what he had to say about the possible ramifications of tomorrow's report.
Internally within the African National Congress, I would like to point out that they also have a constitution that then becomes invoked should the panel finds out that the president has got something to answer. Rule 16.7 of that constitution demands, of course, that if there is in some kind of incapacity of their president who is sitting, the deputy would need to come in here and act. But we know Didi Mabuza, there's a lot of questions around him, right? He's been absent, he's really not been there. And if it happens that Didi Mabuza is not able to kick in as a president, it means then the Secretary General, in terms of Rule 16.7 of the African National Congress Constitution, becomes the president of the party, which means then Paul Mashatile rises.
Now, Erin, Parliament has extended its term specifically to be able to table this report. Do we know what's going to happen between tomorrow and the time that this debate takes place? Is that report going to be made public?
Well, I think it's inevitable that the public will have sight of it. Once MPs have it, it's very likely to make its way into the hands of the press and into the broader public if Parliament decides not to, in fact, just put it on its website. And perhaps strategic in this case, considering the status and the political sort of potency of this report, to simply make it available off the bat. So there's that handover ceremony at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, during which the Speaker will receive the report from Ngcobo. It's really going to be a photo op, but of course the contents of the report are primary, so we do hope to see them sooner rather than later. MPs will then read through them, consider what's in the report, which is only based on written submissions, including answers from the President, his explanation for what happened with Phala Phala, and then they will hold that hybrid sitting, specially initially scheduled after the intended closure of Parliament for 2022 on the 6th of December, which is next Tuesday. But of course, Kathy, in the interim, there are going to be all sorts of political ramifications as we build up to the ANC's elective conference from the 16th of December.
All right, Erin, we'll pause it there for now. Erin Bates will have more on that story. So tomorrow then being the deadline, you can expect to catch that official handover ceremony right here on Newzroom Afrika.